Chinedu Oganya never sought the spotlight. At 34, he was known across Nigeria's tech circles as the man who built core vibe systems from a dusty laptop and a cracked phone screen in his mother's sitting room in Otukpo. What started after NYSC had grown into a multi-city company with offices in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. But wealth hadn't changed him. He still greeted elders with both hands, still visited his late sister's grave every month, still carried bottles of Zobo to his parents in Adoka every Sunday. People called him the gentle genius. Women noticed him, of course, but Nedu, as his friends called him, wasn't one to chase love until that day in Lagos. It had rained heavily, flooding the Lekki roundabout. Nedu had just spoken at the Future Tech Summit and was about to head back to his hotel when his old friend Tersu Ame dragged him into a boutique at Admiralty. "Your shirt is too local," Tersu teased. "You're a tech mogul, not a village boy." And that was when Oyinade Williams walked in, clad in a mustard jumpsuit that hugged her figure, her heels tapping with confidence. She moved like someone who belonged in glass places. Her smile was easy, but her eyes were sharp. She helped Nedu choose a deep green shirt and laughed when he hesitated. "You have beignet taste," she said teasingly. "Beautiful, but slightly traditional." He laughed. "And yours is Lekki fine and expensive." They left the boutique with more than clothes. They left with phone numbers. That night, Chinedu stared at her number for hours before texting, "Didn't catch your last name, but I won't forget your eyes." The reply came the next morning. "Then you must not forget how I upgraded your shirt too." He smiled. That was the beginning. 2 weeks later, she took him to eat amala in Mushin, insisting on sitting on plastic chairs and teasing him for how carefully he dipped the meat into the eforiro. "You thought I'd drag you to Intercontinental, right?" She grinned. "Sorry, sir. You get street taste today." She was bold, unfiltered, self-assured. Nothing like quiet girls he had known in Otukpo, and somehow that thrilled him. She didn't seem to care that he was rich or that he still lived like a village man in a city suit. But it wasn't just the laughter that pulled him in. It was the way she listened when he spoke about his late sister, the struggles of building a company from dust, the pressure of carrying a community's hopes on his shoulders. "I'm here for all of it," she once whispered during a late-night call. "Not just the glamour, but the journey." And Nedu believed her. Within 4 months, he had helped her launch Oyin Luxe, a fashion line she said was her dream. He paid for the website, the packaging, and the influencer campaign. "Money doesn't define value," he told her when she hesitated, "and I see value in you." But deep in the quiet night, his mother, Mama Lottie, began to pray more fervently. "She is beautiful," she told Papa Oganya, "but there's something in her laughter that echoes hollow." Her husband chuckled. "Don't start, lady. He's finally happy." But she didn't laugh. Not yet. By the 6th month, Chinedu Oganya was deeply in love. He had never known this version of himself. Texting all day, sending surprise flowers, writing handwritten notes. When Oyinade celebrated her 29th birthday, he booked a rooftop dinner in Ikoyi and gifted her a gold bracelet engraved with the words, "For the woman who brought sunshine to my logic." She screamed. She kissed him like they were the only two people in Lagos. A month later, he brought her home to Otukpo. Mama Lottie made fresh sesame soup and pounded yam with her own hands. Oyin wore a blue Ankara wrapper and greeted elders with a practiced grace. She smiled, complimented Mama's cooking, helped set the table. Nedu watched, heart swelling. But later that evening, as Mama asked her to help rinse the plates, Oyin hissed softly under her breath. "I'm not a maid now," she mumbled in Yoruba, unaware Nedu stood just behind the curtain. He paused, his breath caught. She turned, smiled sweetly. "All done," she announced. He said nothing. Convinced himself it was just Lagos stress. Still, little signs began to surface. During a game night with friends, one of Oyin's girls, Kikalomo, laughed loudly. "Oh, this Otukpo guy really trio, from boutique to Bentley in under a year." Everyone laughed, including Oyin. "Village boys are loyal Shah," she added, sipping wine. Nedu chuckled too, but something sank inside him. Back home, his mother noticed his silence. She doesn't respect your roots, Mama said quietly. She just needs time, Nedu replied. But even his voice wavered. Oyin's fashion line, Oyin Luxe, blossomed. Chinedu kept funding it quietly, watching her grow. He wanted her to stand tall, to have her own name. She's not like other girls, he told Tersu one night. You're right, Tersu said. She's louder. The proposal came 2 months later, under the orange sky of a McCurdy terrace. Oyin screamed, yes, so loud passers-by clapped. Within 24 hours, the photos were online. #Nedu Oyin, #from Otukpo with love, #Tech King Wed Style Queen. But the cracks widened. She insisted the traditional wedding hold in Lagos. McCurdy is too far and dry, she said, scrunching her nose. Dry? Nedu echoed. Come on, babe. It's not exactly Banana Island. Still, he agreed. For love. The Lagos ceremonies were lavish. She wore 5 different gowns. He watched her dance with fire in her eyes. But when it came time for the TIV cultural rites in Otukpo, Oyin sulked. At the food tasting, she poked the pounded yam and gummoberry with a fork. Why does it smell like engine oil? She whispered to the planner. When offered roasted yam and dried fish by a cousin, she recoiled. Abeg. I'm not a village girl. The room went quiet. Even the ceiling fan slowed. Mama Lady's hand gripped her wrapper. Papa Oganya said nothing, but his brow furrowed. Nedu laughed awkwardly. She's just playing, he muttered. But nobody else was laughing. That night he sat alone on the hotel balcony, watching the stars. He remembered how his sister used to tell him, don't ignore the small shadows, Nedu. They grow into storms. He looked at his ring box on the table beside him. His heart beat slow. Was he walking into love or a performance? 3 weeks to the wedding, everything moved at lightning speed. McCurdy's elite Crystal Events Hall was booked. A top Abuja saxophonist was confirmed. The decorators imported floral arches from Dubai. Oyinade's demands knew no breaks. She wanted dancers, drone coverage, twin cakes, and 5 outfit changes. Nedu nodded through every meeting. Quietly, he covered every expense. Bro, we're marrying a woman or launching a festival? Tersu joked one night while reviewing the bill. Nedu chuckled. Let her enjoy. It's not about the money. But even as he said it, his chest tightened. He didn't recognize himself in the mirror anymore. His smile strained. His eyes looked tired. Yet every time he tried to slow down, Oyin's voice softened. I'm just trying to make it perfect for us. And he would melt again. Because love, he thought, was patience. But patience can only hold so much weight. 1 week to the wedding, Mama Lady asked to see him privately. She doesn't greet elders anymore, she began. She's overwhelmed, he replied. Then why did I hear her say our home smells like burnt firewood? Nedu looked away. Son, she continued, I am not asking you to call it off, but don't walk into a fire with your eyes shut. You can forgive a lie, but can you live with contempt? Still, he defended Oyin. Love does that. It teaches you to question yourself before questioning them. Then came the night before the wedding. The hotel was alive, family arriving, tailors making last-minute adjustments, makeup artists running between rooms. Nedu was in the lobby reviewing the final schedule with Tersu. You're not even sweating, Tersu teased. Groom of the year. I've waited for this for so long, Nedu replied. Tomorrow, I marry the woman I love. But upstairs, something else was unfolding. Mama Lady had been going in and out of Oyin's bridal suite, offering juice, wrappers, and small talk support. But her instincts itched. There was a stiffness behind Oyin's smile, a tightness in her laughter. My daughter, she said gently, are you truly happy? Mummy, I'm just tired. You know Lagos girls, we carry things with style. Later that night, Nedu walked upstairs with a tray of fruit and tiger nuts. As he reached Oyin's suite, the door was slightly ajar. He paused, hearing voices and laughter inside. You did it, babe, one friend said. Tech millionaire, steady funding. 1 year and you're free. Oyin's voice came next. Let me enjoy the small nai. Dio is still waiting. I just need the boutique papers, then I bounce. Nedu froze. You don't even like beignet guys, another said. I'm not about to eat sesame soup forever, Oyin laughed. I'll endure the accent, the food, the fake humility, until my real life begins. His heart collapsed. He stood there still, like a tree hit by lightning, but refusing to fall. He backed away, quietly, carefully. Downstairs, he handed the tray to a passing relative and walked into the darkness behind the flower truck parked beside the hotel. He dialed. Tersu picked. Guy? I heard everything. What? She's marrying me for money. She still loves Dio. She's mocking you, me, my people. Silence. You're sure? She said it with her chest. A pause. Wait there. I'm coming. Nedu ended the call and sat on a cement block. He didn't cry. He didn't speak. He just stared, as if the moon might offer a different truth. But it didn't. And somewhere deep inside, a quiet voice rose, stronger than grief, stronger than rage. You will not enter tomorrow as a fool. Tersu found him still sitting behind the flower truck, his head low, his hands trembling. The tray of fruit was gone. His voice was barely audible. I wasn't even looking for anything. I just wanted to surprise her. I was going to drop off tiger nuts and mango slices. Tersu didn't speak. He just sat beside his friend. She called me a stepping stone, Tersu. Said she's counting the days until she leaves. Said our soup smells like engine oil. His lips curled painfully. And that Dio is waiting. Tersu clenched his jaw. After everything? You paid her rent, started her business, respected her dreams? And this is how she repays you? I can't do it, Nedu said, his voice raw. But I also can't just walk away. If I call off the wedding now, she'll twist it. Say I got cold feet. The media will take her side. She'll keep her dignity. I'll look like a coward. Tersu's eyes narrowed. Then let her confess herself. Nedu turned. You said she was running her mouth freely, yeah? We just need to catch it on record. Let her lies echo louder than our voices. And so, a plan was born. That night, Tersu dressed down, jeans, polo shirt, camera hanging casually on his neck. He returned to the hotel and knocked on Oyin's bridal suite with a warm smile. Ladies, he beamed, quick behind-the-scenes shots for the wedding vlog. Just 5 minutes. The girls squealed. Tersu the cameraman-o. Come in, Beg. He set the camera down and clicked record. Let's do something fun. Pretend it's 1 year into the marriage. Let's see how soft rich wife life is treating y'all. They laughed. Oyin raised a glass of juice. Cheers to freedom. Freedom from what? One friend giggled. From pretending. Oyin smirked. I endured it all. The accent, the family, the food, the village hospitality. Now I'm free. The girls clapped. No more sesame oil soup, she continued, twirling her wrapper. Just give me the boutique documents and Dio and I will bounce. One friend hesitated. But Dio, are you sure? I never stopped loving him, Oyin cut in. Nedu is not love. He's a ladder. Tersu laughed with them, then excused himself to the toilet. But what he really did was slip a tiny voice recorder under her makeup bag, set to record the next hour. An hour later, he retrieved it. He met Nedu again in the alley. This time, no words. He handed over the device, the audio still warm with betrayal. You have the proof, Nedu nodded. I do. And then silence. Not defeat, not sadness. Silence sharpened by clarity. That morning, as the Makurdi sun pierced through satin curtains, and the choir rehearsed love songs inside the grand golden white hall, Chinedu stood quietly in the hotel driveway. He wore his black wedding suit, hands steady, face calm. His mother, Mama Lady, approached him. It's time, my son. Are you ready? Nedu looked her in the eyes. I am. Will you shame her? She asked. I will let her shame herself. She nodded. Then let your silence be louder than her deception. The car pulled up. Inside the church, everything sparkled. Lace, velvet, sequins. The hall shimmered like royalty had arrived. The groom walked in with the calm of a river that had known storms. He smiled gently, greeted his uncles, stood by the altar. Behind the curtains, Oyin was glowing in her gown. "Do I look like a queen?" she asked. "You look like a billionaire's wife," someone joked. "Yes," she said, steadying her veil, "but not for long." Outside, Nedu reached into his pocket and touched the small black speaker. He wasn't here to fight. He was here to unmask a lie, with no voice but the truth itself. The church was radiant. Soft golden light bathed the aisle, and guests sparkled in their asibi. A choir hummed a gentle love song, and cameras rolled from every angle. The wedding hashtag, #Oyinade 2025, was already trending. Chinedu Oganya stood by the altar, black suit, calm expression, hands folded. From afar, he looked like any proud groom, but inside, a storm waited behind still waters. "Ready?" the wedding coordinator asked. He nodded once. Then the music changed. Everyone turned as Oyinade Williams stepped into view, veiled, glowing, swaying down the aisle like a crowned queen. Her smile was wide, perfect, confident. The hall gasped. Phones clicked. Children scattered rose petals. She reached the altar and took Nedu's hand, whispering, "You didn't smile when I walked in. You want to spoil my video?" He said nothing. The pastor, beaming, opened his Bible. "Today we are gathered in joy to witness the sacred union of—" "Excuse me," Nedu said calmly. His voice didn't rise, but the room fell into a hush. The pastor blinked. "Yes?" Chinedu turned to the crowd, then reached into his pocket. He walked slowly to the pulpit, placed a small black speaker on top, and pressed play. At first, there was silence, then, "Let me enjoy this money first. 1 year and I'm out." "He has an accent. Please. Dio is waiting for me. I endured the sesame soup, the fake humility. Now I'm free." Gasps. A phone fell. A hand flew to a mouth. Oyin's smile cracked. "Stop that," she whispered. "It's not what it sounds like." Chinedu didn't look at her. He picked up the wedding contract from the podium, tore it in half, folded the pieces. Then he faced the guests. "I loved her," he said, voice still calm. "I funded her dreams, honored her family, trusted her word, but what I got in return was mockery of my roots, my name, my family." Oyin stepped forward. "It was just talk, a joke." Chinedu turned to her for the first time. "I am not your joke. I am not your stepping stone. I am not your fool." And then he turned around. No shouting, no tears. He walked out. The hall remained frozen. Oyin stood alone at the altar, still in her glittering white dress, bouquet slipping slowly from her hand to the marble floor. Her eyes searched the crowd, but her friends, Saad and Kikaloma, were gone. Her parents sat stiff, mortified. Then her father, Chief Tunde Williams, stood, shook his head and left without a word. One by one the guests followed. No murmurs, no applause. Just a stream of silent exits and a quiet so complete it echoed. Behind the church, Nedu entered his cousin's waiting car. Mama Lady held his hand. Papa Oganya sat beside him in silence. Tersu placed the speaker on the seat between them like a finished weapon. No one said a word. The silence was sacred, not heavy. At home, Nedu sat under the mango tree in his cousin's yard. He didn't eat. He didn't check his phone. He didn't post anything. But the world was already roaring. That night, screenshots of the voice recording flooded social media. Blogs screamed, "Groom exposes bride at the altar." The audio went viral. Memes followed. And Oyin, she sat on the cold hotel floor, makeup smeared, veil tossed aside, blocked by her friends, ignored by her father, unfollowed by vendors who had once begged for tags. The boutique's Instagram page lost followers by the hour. Worse, an email came that night. Core Vibe Systems was withdrawing from their pending logistics partnership. It was over. Meanwhile, in a modest room in Otukpo, Chinedu stared at the ceiling fan. No music, no wedding dance, no honeymoon. But for the first time in weeks, she could finally breathe. Weeks passed. The gossip faded, as all things do in Nigeria when new scandals arrive. Oyinade's name dropped from the blogs. Her face, once a wedding meme, was replaced by the next disaster bride. But for Chinedu Oganya, time did not erase. It simply softened the echo. He took a leave from Core Vibe Systems, logged out of Instagram, switched off his phone. He packed one bag and returned not to his family home in Adoka, but to a small, quiet flat on the edge of Agwale village, just outside Otukpo. There was no Wi-Fi, no mirror selfies, no visitors, only wind, only silence, and peace. He swept his own floors, ate roasted yam by the fire, read dusty novels left by the last tenant. Some days he'd walk barefoot to the hills. Others, he'd sit under the mango tree and let the sky speak. Then came the youth center. His cousin Uzo, a local nurse, mentioned it one evening while slicing mangoes. "They're trying to open a computer lab for the kids at Amwa Primary School," she said. "Only 2 laptops work. They need help." Chinedu said nothing that night. But the next morning, he showed up. He brought 2 refurbished desktops, sat on the cold cement floor, and started connecting wires. No one knew who he was. The children called him Oga Wireman. That's where he met Adeswa Orhua. She wore a faded wrapper with chalk dust on her fingers, her natural hair tied back with a scarf. A volunteer teacher from Edo State, Adeswa moved with no need to impress. She translated English lessons into Idoma when needed. She calmed crying toddlers with songs. She once repaired a broken chair with twine and prayer. "Good afternoon, sir," she said the first time. He looked up, startled. "No need for sir, just Nedu." She smiled, a small, honest smile. Not the kind that asked for anything, just the kind that said, "I see you." Days turned to weeks. He watched her sweep classrooms barefoot, scold boys for bullying others, and write lesson notes with the back of old receipts. One day, she offered him boiled groundnuts and pure water. "You don't look like you belong here," she said gently. "Maybe not," he replied, "but this is the only place I've felt like myself in months." Their friendship didn't rush. No matching outfits, no filtered stories, just shared bottles of malt. Conversations about stories and broken dreams. She had her own scars, he learned. Her father once sold her textbooks to repay a gambling debt. But she never hated him. She just built new bookshelves from old wood. One evening, under the mango tree, she asked softly, "You don't talk about your past much." "I've lived it enough," he replied. She nodded. "That's okay. I like this version of you." And in that quiet moment, something stirred again. Not fireworks, not infatuation. Just peace. Soft, unbothered, unforced peace. Chinedu Oganya never planned to fall again. After everything, the betrayal, the public shame, the broken dreams, he had sworn to himself that peace would be enough. No more grand gestures, no more promises, just solitude, service, and maybe one day, forgiveness. But Adesua Orhue didn't arrive with promises. She arrived with patience. One afternoon, while fixing the broken school printer, Nedu watched her from across the room. A little boy named Baba Yemi had spilled ink all over his uniform and was crying. Adeswa dipped her wrapper in water and began to clean his shirt gently, humming a lullaby under her breath. She didn't scold him. She just cleaned and stayed. Later, when Nedu handed her a flash drive of new lesson videos, she smiled. "Thank you." He hesitated. "You always thank me like I gave you a house." She laughed. "Gratitude is a habit, not a reaction." That night, he sat by the river, the voice of Oyin playing faintly in his memory. But for the first time, it didn't sting. It just faded. 1 week later, he invited Adeswa to visit his parents in Adoka. They sat under the big orange tree in the family compound. She helped Mama Lady grain degusi. She greeted Papa Oganya with both knees. She asked questions about Tib wedding songs and learned the names of herbs in Idoma. Later in the backyard, his mother pulled him aside. She doesn't chase noise, Mama said. She doesn't pretend, Nedu replied. She listens, Mama added. Papa Oganya, listening from the doorway, said quietly, Is your heart at peace with her? Nedu didn't answer with words. He just nodded. There was no engagement ring yet, no trending photos. Just two people who now sat together on wooden benches, reading poems out loud while roasting guinea corn. One evening, as they walked past the computer lab, Adeswa looked at him and said, You know you're not the only one who walked away from something painful, right? He looked at her, curious. I was once engaged, she said. He left when my father's debt swallowed our dowry money, said I was too much baggage. She smiled, but her eyes did not. Nedu took a breath. I don't need anyone who looks perfect anymore, he said. I just want someone whose silence feels like home. She reached for his hand, not dramatically, not for effect, just naturally and gently. And that was the moment it happened. No loud music, no saxophone. Just the sun dipping behind the hills, the scent of roasted cassava, and a feeling that didn't need to shout to be real. 6 months passed. The internet forgot. The trending hashtag was buried under others. Oyinade's boutique closed quietly, her last post a quote about starting again. But the comments beneath were sharp, unforgiving. She now worked in silence, blocked by friends, ignored by brands. Her father never mentioned the wedding again. Her mother refused to hang her wedding gown, now folded like a regret in a suitcase beneath the bed. One night alone in her room, she scrolled through old photos of Chinedu, the rooftop date, the handwritten cards, the day he brought her tiger nuts just because she had cramps. And for the first time in a long time, she wept. But far away, in Ogwale village, the world was different. The youth center had grown. Nedu donated 10 more laptops and built wooden desks. Children who once played with empty tins now typed their names in Microsoft Word. Adeswa created a reading corner with donated books. Every week, they hosted storytelling nights under the mango tree. Laughter echoed where once there had been silence. There was no fanfare, just healing. One afternoon, Nedu returned to Otukpo to renew a business license. A reporter spotted him at the registry and rushed over. Sir, do you have anything to say about the wedding? He smiled politely. What wedding? But, don't you want the world to know your side? He adjusted his cap. The world heard enough. I'm not here to go viral. I'm here to live. He walked away, and for the first time in years, he felt light. That weekend, he took Adeswa to his sister's grave, the one person he used to confide in before love betrayed him. He cleaned the stone, left petals, and introduced her softly. Mom, she was my protector. I think she would have liked you. Adeswa crouched beside the grave, whispered a prayer, and gently placed a chalk stick on the headstone for teaching him how to love in silence. He didn't announce an engagement. There was no save the date, just a simple family gathering in Adoka. No gown, no hall, just ankara, hand-woven wrappers, and roasted guinea fowl. Mama Lady sang a slow love song in Idoma as Nedu and Adeswa exchanged calabashes of palm wine and vows without microphones. And that night, under a lantern, Adeswa asked, Do you regret any of it? He thought of Oyin, of walking out of that golden hall, of the crowd, of the speaker on the pulpit, of silence, of shame, of mango trees, of poems, of chalk dust, of Adeswa. No, he said, not at all, because that road led me here. She smiled. And in that moment, Chinedu Oganya realized the truth. Love wasn't thunder. It wasn't performance. It wasn't noise. It was peace. Once he thought love was fireworks. Now he knew real love is a quiet place where the heart can finally rest.